Hi, my name is Ken Brandt. I'm the author of Positive Vision, Enjoying the Adventures and Advantages of Poor Eyesight. The adventures include all kinds of stuff. Being dragged by galloping horses in Montana, being in some fiery cave adventures, helping New York City firefighters fight an arson blaze, things in Australia, things in the US, helping catch a thief, a long, convoluted, successful chase of a thief in New York City, and many, many, many more adventures. I like going fast. Running, walking, jogging, sprinting, all really good. Bicycling, I like bicycling, but I can easily bicycle faster than I can see some of the potholes and bumps and dips in the road coming up. So I have to be pretty careful and can't really bicycle as fast as I would like. Driving, well, that's super fun, but being so nearsighted, it's very, very good for society, and it has saved a ton of lives that I cannot get a driver's license. So that's really good. So I was thinking, what could I do where I could go fast and I wouldn't have to worry about running into anything? And I thought, parachuting, look, that looks really great. It's so exciting. You're in the sky. It's just air. You're not going to hit anything. What could be better? It would be really fun to try that. So while I was in college, I went with a couple of friends and we signed up for skydiving training. We went to Downsville, Maryland. Yes, Downsville was the real name. And we took parachuting training. And training was really exciting. You spent a lot of time practicing landing, jumping off of boxes. You learned how the backup parachute worked, when to use it, what was going to happen. You learned that the first 3 times you do your parachuting, you're connected by a cord to the plane, so you don't have to worry about pulling the ripcord. Instead, it will happen automatically because you're going to be sort of nervous about other things, and that's a good safety feature. You learn what to do when you land in a forest. You learn all kinds of great stuff. Then it was time for our first jump. So you go in this little plane, right? It's a tiny plane. There's only one seat. The seat is for the pilot, and then there's space on the floor just for the instructor and 3 trainees. That's all. That fills up the whole plane. You take up a lot of space with your parachute and your backup parachute. That's it. Getting into the plane, you couldn't help but notice that as we go through the door, it wasn't just a door. It wasn't something you open and close. It was just an opening. There was no door. It could not close. So you go in, all right, no problem. But then you take off, and I'm only inches from that opening. I'd never been in a plane before with no side, just an opening on where the door should be or a window should be. I had a great view, but I had enough adrenaline going just thinking about jumping, just thinking about parachuting, without having to also think about, well, you know, what if the plane swerves a little bit or whatever? I don't want to fall out through the opening and be in the air before I'm supposed to. So anyway, we get to the place where we're supposed to jump out of the plane. So you don't actually jump out of the plane the way it's shown in movies and everything else, because the plane is too little. It's much smaller than the planes they show on TV in the movies. What you do instead is you crawl out that opening, so your feet are on a bar outside the plane over the plane's wheels. So you're outside the plane and you're hanging on to this other bar, which is under the wing on one side of the plane. So your hands are on this bar under the wing, your feet are on this bar over the wheel, you're outside the plane, the engine is roaring, the wind is coming at you, you're hanging on for dear life, and then it's your turn to jump. So, boom, you throw yourself back and up, and you arc your back, and you're in the position, and you're falling like a rock. You're just going down, and you're going down really fast, and it's so exciting. And the plane, meanwhile, you know you're attached by that cord and it's supposed to open your parachute right away, but that plane gets very, very, very far away. I mean, it's a plane, it's flying, you know, so it's off in the distance someplace, and you're thinking, wait a minute, what's going on? Where's my parachute? Why hasn't my parachute opened? And you start thinking about opening the backup parachute, but all of this is going through your mind very, very quickly. Then, happily, very happily, your parachute opens. What a great feeling. You really, really enjoy it when your parachute opens. Boom. Then I start thinking, wait a minute, you know, I should have thought of this before I tried skydiving. I should have thought about the question of, will I be able to see where I am supposed to land? Well, I'm looking around and there's farmland all over the place, crops and stuff, except one place, which was a dirt rectangle. And I thought, all right, hopefully that's it. So I steered for that. And as I got much closer, then I could see, all right, wait, I think this is it, because it's the little airport we took off from, some little planes, and there's a big circle of people. So that was it, that was the target. So you aim for the big circle of people, and when I got much, much, much closer, then I could see the frisbee-sized target in the middle of the circle. In sports parachuting, you aim for this frisbee-sized target. So I got pretty close. I didn't hit it, but I got very close, much closer than most people. So that was really good. It was super exciting. I knew I wanted to do it a lot more. And actually, I became the captain after a while of my university parachuting team. And I thought to myself at that point, this is so great. I want to learn everything about this. I want to do it. It's just really, really cool. What could go wrong? Well, over my next few jumps, I discovered one minor and one really major thing that could go wrong. Very exciting experiences. So that's a little tiny taste of the adventures I've experienced and relayed in the book. The other part of the book is about the advantages of poor eyesight, scattered, and there's a million of them, right? They're scattered throughout the book. It's very clear that good eyesight is better than poor eyesight. I agree with that completely. But it's also fun, enjoyable, worthwhile, and worth celebrating the advantages of poor eyesight. So these advantages can include all kinds of stuff. Longer life, better balance, greater creativity, better focus, better concentration, better imagination, enhanced use of all the other senses, better presentation skills, and lots more. There's all kinds of examples. And they're fun, relatable examples. Another thing I'd like to talk about is, this video is going out to the bold, blind, beautiful community. And what are the things that are in common between the blind, bold, beautiful community and positive vision? Well, I think there's four things. One, positivity. You look at all the videos on the bold, blind, beauty community and articles and the thoughts, and they agree with what it says in positive vision of like, all right, whatever your vision, whatever you want to do, give it a red hot go. Just go for it. If you don't make it, all right, you went for it, It's still an exciting experience. If you go for it and you make it, it's just grand, and you should just go for it. Whatever it is you want to do, go for it. Some things are a ton of work. Most things that are worthwhile are a ton of work, but go for it. Second, in the bold, blind, beauty, bold is the first word there, so boldness. If you have poor eyesight, whether it's slightly less than 20/20 or it's practically blind, if you any degree of slightly under 20/20 eyesight, to some degree, every step you take during your life, you're going into a bit of the unknown. You don't fully see what you're going into. develop your boldness. You're used to going into a space that you don't fully understand. Well, if you do that often enough, or your whole life, in my case, in the case of many other people, then it's only a little tiny step more from boldness to bravery. Bravery being, all right, you know there's some challenge or danger or risk or difficulty that has to be jumped over or hurdled or attacked. You know you've got something and you know what it's going to be. Well, if you spent your life being bold, it's only a tiny step forward to being brave. So if you've got poor vision, you're more likely to not only be bold, but also be brave, which is pretty cool. So then the next part of the phrase, bold, blind beauty. Blind, well, okay, I can relate to that to a limited degree. I've had a big roller coaster of vision ups and downs during my life. I've had 6 eye operations, cataract operation in each eye, a detached retina operation in each eye, 2 other operations, and I was legally blind for many years. Then the 4th thing that the communities have in common, I think, is bold, blind beauty. Beauty is worth thinking about. I think that's an advantage we in the poor eyesight world have. You take 2 people, any 2 people. One has great vision, one not so great, right? They're looking at all kinds of stuff. They're looking at beautiful mountains, meadows, forests, oceans, rivers, or man-made things, beautiful giant murals, huge statues, beautiful city scenes or small town scenes. They're looking at people, handsome and beautiful people, right? Everybody's looking at both of those, right? Okay, so far so good. But if you have 20/20 perfect vision, or 6/6 perfect vision in metric, then you might also see, over here you might see, oh, wait a minute, there's a little litter. And over here you might, oh, wait a minute, some of that paint is chipped. Oh, there's some rust on that bridge. Oh, that person has some scars. Oh, that person has some wrinkles. Well, you know, if you have poor vision, you might not see any of that stuff. You only see the good parts. The world is a more beautiful place for those of us in the poor eyesight community. How cool is that? Lastly, I'd like to thank my wonderful friend, Stephanie McCoy, for inviting me to make this video and for showing it to you. Steph is the brilliant, buoyant, barnstorming beacon of bold, blind, beautiful. Thanks very much, Steph.